Welcome back, Soulful Society, to Soulful of Wellness,
the multi-generational podcast brought to you by two functional imperfectionists
and certified coaches
who deliver tips to help you live your most authentic, balanced, and anxiety-free life. Let's be honest, perfectionists, we're overthinkers. Sometimes we're just on autopilot when it comes to our thoughts, our patterns. We believe it's only natural to pick apart every single potential outcome of a situation or to spend hours on end ruminating, talking in circles with someone or to ourselves. We get hung up on any little decision, which leaves us feeling worse than we were when we started.
Today, we're here to help you, our fellow imperfectionists, aka perfectionists on a healing journey, identify when you're overthinking. We'll discuss tips on how to help you let go of unhelpful, old patterns and liberate your soul so that you can live your life to the fullest. Thank you for joining us, our beloved Soulful Society, for yet another week of wellness goodness. We are so happy to have you here. If you like this episode, friendly reminder to please share this with someone you love.
If you haven't yet rated or reviewed this podcast, we would be eternally grateful if you could do that.
So if you have thoughts, feedback, suggestions, you can DM us on Instagram at Soulful of Wellness or shoot us an email, sfowpodcast@gmail.com. And without further ado, let's get into today's topic.
Let's get into it.
So we are certified coaches, but if there was a certification in being an imperfectionist, I guess since we coined the term, we would be certified in that. And that is not to
We'd
say
be the only ones.
we would, but it's not to say that we have overcome perfection.
Oh, no.
Because perfectionism is it's a lifelong
struggle,
journey, as many things are, but it's all about the journey.
I love how
all
you
about
call
the journey.
It a lifelong journey. Say no, I go struggle. Yours is so much nicer. Yes, it's a journey.
I'm trying to be positive. Yeah, it's a journey.
Sometimes feels like a struggle.
No, it really does. It really does. And we know we are not alone in this. We know several of you struggle from the same things that we do. And so we wanted to chat a little bit about that today, chat about our experiences and some reflections that we have, not only as coaches, but as human beings, and reflect on a few different prompts that we've written down. So we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah, hopefully this will unearth a few ahas, much like in a coaching session when we dig in and those valuable nuggets that are in there somewhere but not at the forefront emerge. That'd be really nice. When I think about this journey, calling it a journey, not a struggle, it's like awareness isn't enough. I know I do some of these things. I know some of these things I do are not productive and sometimes even counterproductive. That alone isn't enough to get me to change those ways.
Well, that just means that you're ready. You're on the next step. Awareness is always the first step in anything.
Yeah.
So for you to say, awareness isn't enough, it just means that you're ready to use some of those tools from your arsenal and to look at things differently and to take action, frankly. And some of us aren't ready for that. Some of us are still along the journey where we're trying to be more consistent about pointing out our inner gremlin or our thought patterns and kind of be able to identify it to build that foundation in order to move on to the next step, which would be, I guess, utilizing those tools in real time.
Yeah, let's dig in because I do feel ready. I'm ready for another step in this journey.
Well, may I ask you, how is perfectionism showing up for you in your life right now?
I think the biggest way perfectionism interferes in my life is my inability to get started on, I'll call it a project, but sometimes it's just a really small thing. And I'm just going back and forth in my mind. So the wheels are spinning, a whole lot of energy is being used up, but zero progress is being made because I haven't actually done anything. I'm in that air quotes, preparation stage to take action, no action. Because honestly, I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm not going to be successful. I'm scared that it's not going to be good, that what I choose isn't going to be right. So I'm just spinning my wheels before doing anything, and sometimes in place of doing anything.
You're stalling out. I'm picturing
stalling.
like in Mario Kart racing. In the beginning, you start at the start line, and sometimes when you press too hard on the gas or the brake or whatever, you stall out. And your car puffs out a bunch of air and you spin in circles and you're further behind everyone else because you haven't gotten started. You've stalled out.
In that analogy, what I would be doing is using up all my gas, circling around in front of the start line. Like, oh, I'm going to practice. I'm going to get ready. And then the race starts and I go 10 feet and run out of gas because I used it all up before I started.
So it sounds like from what you're describing, you are living in a fear-based mindset.
Around certain things, definitely.
Like, what does that look like? What are you afraid of if you were to dig deep and guess?
What it looks like is complete avoidance. Like I'm not even thinking about it. It's not even on my radar. Like I've forgotten that I have to do it. What it feels like is if I do it, I'm going to make more work for myself and I'm going to turn it into a way bigger thing than it needs to be because I'm going to do it wrong and it's harder to fix it or undo it than it is to just do it right from the beginning. But I don't feel confident that I'm going to do it right from the beginning, so I do nothing.
What if this was a sewing project? Let's use that as an example.
I know who to go to for help. So I have in my toolbox, ask an quote expert, ask somebody who's more proficient than I am. That's what I would do. And I firmly believe that would get me over the hump.
So sewing is something you're pretty proficient in.
Yes.
You've been practicing it for many years.
Many years.
Let's say in this context, we're talking about, a particularly challenging sewing project you have in your toolkit that you're going to go ask for help. Because you've had so much practice at this, you have a little bit of confidence at a baseline. So asking for help increases your skills, moves you through fear, and gets you to that next level. Because a lot of what overthinking and perfectionism can all have in common is a lack of confidence in something.
Yes, it would definitely give me the confidence that I'm acting in the right direction. No guarantees I'm not going to still make a mistake, but at least I know what I'm trying is a valid effort and I'm going the right way. So it would give me that confidence to dive in.
Overthinking, it stresses us out, right? It leaves our brains stressed, our bodies stressed. So when we think of stress, we think about the body. Is it in parasympathetic? Is it in sympathetic? This is where we talk about flight, fight, or freeze. So a lot of us could be freezers.
Yeah.
And so in these moments where we're overthinking, not taking action because we're afraid of it not being perfect, of it not being right, of us running into a barrier. Perfectionism is essentially a defense mechanism. It's how we self-protect from shame or judgment.
Failure, real or perceived. If you do nothing, at least you do nothing wrong. You don't mess something up. You also don't make any progress.
Okay, so this is a great segue into our first prompt. Our first prompt that we wanted to chat about is Aristotle's quote. If you don't want to be criticized, do nothing, say nothing, be nothing.
Sounds pretty foolproof, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just completely fly under the radar and nobody even notices that you exist, nobody's going to criticize you. Nobody's going to hate you. Nobody's going to become your enemy or laugh at you or mock you. But also, you are now nobody. You are nothing. You have done nothing. You've accomplished nothing. You have no happy memories. You have made no friends. You have produced nothing.
Where's your joy? Where are your relationships? Like non-existent. So
you're safe.
Right.
And nothing.
Safety does not equal
happiness
or where we want to go or perceived safety. A lot of the times we think this place is safe. We think this person is safe, but in reality, safety comes from within.
Without risks, you don't grow. If you only ever did things that you were completely proficient at and were guaranteed success, you would do very little and you would never learn anything new. Intrinsic to something new is that you're not good at it yet. So to learn and to grow and to expand and be more and experience more, obviously you have to put yourself in a position to risk failing or at least not perfection. Make peace with it. You can be not good with failure. You just can't let that stand in your way of doing. You can simultaneously say, I'm not good with failure. It's a big fear of mine, but I'm still going to do the thing.
So how do we get ourselves to that place? That place of, I'm going to make this decision, because not making a decision is actually a decision in itself. So that's good to remember. Just because we're frozen up and not making a decision, that is inherently our decision. And secondly, how do we get ourselves to that point where we can move the needle a little bit, take a little risk, get out of our perceived safety comfort zone in order to live life to the fullest, as cheesy as that sounds, and get more juice, suck the nectars out of life?
That's an excellent question. And if anybody has the answer, call me. Not having all the answers here, but I think it's taking things one step at a time. So not biting off more than you can chew. You don't have to look at the entire project, circling back around to a sewing project. Maybe you look at the side seams. And when the side seams are done, you look at a sleeve. When the sleeve's done, you look at a collar. So you're not thinking like, oh, good Lord, what have I gotten myself into? Chunk it out one stage at a time.
Right, one stage at a time. And this can also fit into big life decisions or stress events. Like we were talking about earlier, I'm moving on Friday and feeling like, oh, I need to get it all done. And what if I just plan ahead? And I've gotten myself into like over planning mode and like a circular repetitive thoughts and just trying to get it all my ducks in a row. And that's like actually not possible. Like you were saying, you're not going to furnish your living room by, next Saturday or next
the end
month.
Of the weekend.
Right. It's like, it's not possible. And so like living in a little bit of uncertainty. Ooh, so uncomfortable. Living in a little bit of unfinished projects. Ooh, so uncomfortable is a growth point.
Another strategy that can be very helpful that I've employed in the past, and I really have to be conscious about this one, is ask myself, how important is this? Mm-hmm. How much attention, how much time, how much mental energy does this decision warrant? Because I tend to be the opposite of proportional. So the tiniest little decisions I will spend so much time on. And so I've learned to tell myself like a little tough talk. Wait, is this important? This is a less than $20 purchase decision. You've been thinking about it now for 15 minutes. Pick one. At this point, it doesn't matter. This is such a small thing. Pick one. It doesn't get any more of your life.
Last time we talked about this topic, you you gave this tool a job. It was the 5-point scale of importance. It's like ranking. 5, this is life changing. 1, this is what I'm having for lunch today.
Yes. And factoring into that is dollar value. How literally valuable is it? The duration of the effects of it. Picking a car is a longer term decision than a new sweater.
Or what nail polish you're going to get that week. Here's my tool. Practicing decision making builds more confidence. It builds more decision making. So if you get into the nail salon, pick it. Just go for it.
Right.
Go with your gut. And this also actually has to do with tapping into your intuition. It allows you to cultivate that intuition. The more decisions you make, the more self-trust you build, and the easier things get.
You can even chunk those decisions. Like I've done the thing in the nail salon where I take out and I've got, say, 8 in front of me and it's way too hard to choose from 8. So take 2 of them, this one or this one. Okay. The one you didn't pick, he's gone forever. Pick up the next one with the one that you picked from the last round, this one or this one. Because somehow it's just easier to pick from 2. For me, that sometimes make things easier. So I do sort of like a little March Madness.
March Madness of at the nail salon.
Must advance to win the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
But it works. Also, like picking something off a menu. Menus can be really overwhelming when you have this crazy indecision. Like, what's my fear? Which sounds funny. Well, my fear is the person next to me's dinner is going to look better and I picked the wrong thing and I wish I'd gotten their dinner and I'm disappointed. If you're listening and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Kit, you're making your own life way too difficult, then I envy you. Like, yes, I know if you can't relate to this thinking, like that's where I want to be someday. But if you're listening and you relate to the idea of this, if not the examples, then you know what I mean. Like just knowing that I'm making my own life more difficult doesn't help. So that's where I have little tools like this that if I enact them, like choosing between two, just makes me able to take action rather than staring at the 8 for 15 minutes.
Thinking about perfectionism makes me think a lot about, like, if I think about it in the context of what I'm going to wear to an event or like the nail polish situation, or if it's an outward appearance type of thing, that really is related to fear. And the opposite of that is love, which is self-love. So if, for example, you pick the outfit, you decide to be confident, you say, I'm not going to overthink it. This is what I'm wearing and I'm going to show up and I'm going to choose to feel confident. It is so liberating to be able to choose that and walk out in the world and say, world, take it or leave it. I don't care. This is my choice. This is what I'm wearing.
So you just dropped another awesome strategy is no looking back. I've done the look backs where you choose the nail polish and then for the week it's on your nails. Every time I look at it, I'm thinking, I should have picked the pink. No, let it go. It already took too much mental energy. So once you make the decision, own the choice.
So if we build the awareness, which is always the first step of, okay, I'm having ruminating thoughts. I'm noticing negative thought cycles. I'm noticing I'm in my head a lot. I'm noticing I'm just plainly overthinking. Cool. That's the first step. Second step would be to call yourself out on it and try to employ one of these tools.
Thank you so much for joining us again this week for another week of wellness goodness. We so appreciate you listening. We know you have so many choices out there. Thank you for picking our podcast. Peace, love, and light.
Mwah. Peace, love, and light.
The Soulful of Wellness hosts are certified health and wellness coaches. This podcast is intended to inform and entertain listeners on their wellness journey. This podcast is meant to enhance, not replace, listeners' care from doctors, therapists, or other medical providers.